Welcome to the Coach's Corner. Stage 4, Topic 10, Episode 2. Today, we're taking a look at the systems vacuum. What happens when everything the business knows lives only in the head of the founder? And what it cost at 100K. At 100K, a hidden gap starts to show. The business is working, clients are paying, the work is getting done, but too much still depends on you, or the business owner for that matter. Today, we'll name that gap. We'll look at what the vacuum is, how it gets built, what lives inside it, and why it gets worse, and what changes when the work becomes visible. We'll start by defining it. Let's put a name to it. What's the system vacuum actually is? The vacuum happens when the business's most important knowledge lives only in your head. How things get done, why decisions get made, what quality actually looks like. From the outside, the business looks fine, but it works because you keep filling the gap. You remember the client, you know the standard, you make the call. This works until something tries to grow. A new hire, a bigger client, a week away. Then the gap shows up, and it shows up fast. Let's take a closer look at this. The system vacuum is what exists when the business's most important knowledge, how things get done, why decisions get made, what actually looks like. Let's take a closer look at this. It isn't visible from the outside. From the outside, the business looks like it's running. Revenue is coming in. The vacuum is invisible precisely because the founder is filling in personally. When there's a problem, the founder steps in. When there's a question, the founder steps in. It isn't felt until something tries to grow. This can be a new client, a new hire, an opportunity that requires scale and reveals the vacuum instantly. Because nothing can happen without the founder's direct involvement, it means that there's a start and stop. Someone may ask a question and the employee or the person on the team may have to say, you know what, I have to get back to you. Let me run it by the owner. Let me run it by my manager. There's a lot of things that need to happen in the moment in real time. And if they have to stop and ask the founder, then it's a window of opportunity that could be missed. It isn't in personal failure. The vacuum forms because every stage before this one actually rewarded personal excellence, an over documented process. Building the knowledge inside your head was the right strategy until now. When decisions need to be made in real time and it requires you, it puts a cap on how many different types of clients, what the volume of clients that you get to work with will be. It works fine when it's one, two, three, maybe four clients, whatever your capacity is. But the moment people find out who you are, how good you are at delivering what you want to be able to deliver and bring to market, more people are going to be interested. And if you can only work with a certain amount of people, then it cuts down on your ability to be able to scale beyond where you're at. So it's not just about having a system, it's having a system and something in place that doesn't require you to be a part of every single part of the process. How the vacuum gets built without anyone deciding to build it. Nobody chooses this. It builds slowly. In stage one, you were figuring things out. Writing it down felt like a luxury. In stage two, you were trying to survive. You moved fast because you had to. In stage three, your client work got stronger, but the way you did it stayed inside your head. Now, here we are at stage four, and it reveals the problem. You build something that works, but it works because you're always there. There are a lot of business owners, they go into entrepreneurship because they say they want to set their own schedule. They want to choose how many clients and what clients they bring in. They want to make a certain amount of money. People go into entrepreneurship for a lot of different reasons. And a lot of the reasons that I hear a lot of people say they go into entrepreneurship is for growth. So it's revenue based and profit based. And then it's also work life balance and getting more time to be able to do whatever they want to do on their off time. This is where that vacuum kicks in. So let's take a closer look at this. Stage one, the contribution. You were figuring things out as you went. Documenting felt like a luxury you didn't have. Every decision was a first decision. Stage one is that 0 to 30K range. It's when you first start your business and you're just trying to make sure that the business idea is a genuine business opportunity. Every time something comes up, it's can I do this? And it's that first decision. It's that first iteration of. Stage two, it's more like the 30 to 50K range. It's where survival mode kept all knowledge internal. At this point, you want to be able to prove it's not just a business opportunity, but it's one that can be sustained. The process that worked stayed in your head because extracting it took time that you didn't have. In survival mode, you just need to be able to churn out those projects. Now that people are starting to ask for your help, you don't have time to necessarily document everything. When you're in stage two, in that 30 to 50K range where you're starting to see money, and if you stop and try to document things, you could potentially miss out on a client. That fear is going to make people jump and try to get done whatever they can get done as quickly as possible. Stage three, the 50 to 100K, clients' relationships deepen personally. Delivery improved through your skill. Every improvement was real, and none of it necessarily got documented. Once you move past the survival stage, then it's okay. Now that I've identified what kind of clients I want to work with, what kind of clients I don't want to work with, then the focus starts to become okay, now I can start building a relationship with the types of clients that I want, those green flag clients, those green flag customers, as opposed to the red flags. You start working on building out that relationship with them. And while you're focused on that relationship, you don't necessarily have time to document every single part of things unless you have a system in place. That system, be it a customer feedback loop or any of the things that will allow you to be able to gather information and start to figure out how to be able to process it, diagnose it, understand what's working, what's not working. At 50 to 100K, it's about relationship building. You want to build a relationship because at that stage, it's not about selling something once. It's about getting a client that wants to keep paying you. It's about getting recurring revenue. So there's not a lot of time to really document and systematize something in a way that's going to allow you to be able to scale from there. When you get to stage four, this is where volume kicks in. And volume exposes the vacuum. A new hire can't replicate your quality because your quality was never documented. It lived in your judgment. You handle things in real time. If something came up, you knew your bandwidth, you knew how much you were going to be able to take on. You knew if you had to work extra hours, you would just put in whatever time you had to put in. Those are the types of situations that start to show up when you transition from stage three to stage four. And you have to look and say, okay, I can't continue to do this. You have the good sense to say, okay, I can't continue to do all of this myself. But now the follow up question is, well, what do I do about it? Once you name the pain, then it's okay, well, now I need to start looking at a solution. And that's the conversation we're having today. What lives in the vacuum and what it costs. The vacuum is not empty, it holds your delivery standards. So no one else knows what done well means. It holds your decision logic. So every judgment call comes back to you. It holds client context. So no one else can support the account fully. It holds your process knowledge. So people learn by asking you. This is why help doesn't always feel helpful. The work moves around, but the thinking stays with you. If someone has to come back to you and ask you about every single detail, it's not something where you relieve yourself of that pressure or that stress. You've added an extra person that's asking you questions. And that's what we're looking to be able to diagnose and put a name to, and then actually start having a conversation about what to do about it. So let's take a closer look at it. What lives in the vacuum? Delivery standards. What it costs. No one else knows what done well actually looks like, so everything gets reviewed by the founder. I got to check with the founder. I got to check with the owner. Let me get back to you. Decision logic. What it costs. Every non routine judgment call escalates to the founder because no one knows how to decide without them. When you bring someone in and you don't have a system in place and something documented, people are going to be scared to make mistakes, especially the people that buy in, because they don't want to make a mistake when they believe in what it is that you're doing. It can end up not only costing them, but cost the job, cost the business. And that's where hesitation kicks in. That hesitation is received by clients and customers. It starts to give birth to uncertainty. Well, if you don't know, why am I talking to you when I should probably be having that conversation with the owner? That's where the decision logic starts to kick in. Client relationships. Key context lives in the founder's memories, not in any system. So no one can service the account without them present. Again, this is where someone may say, I'd rather just talk to the owner because I need to get answers. I don't need to have that uncertainty. I have people relying on me the same way that owner has someone relying on them. So I'd rather get it straight from that person because they understand the pressure that I'm under. This is where the difference between B2C and B2B really starts to show itself. Because business to consumer, the consumer, they're going to be able to write certain things off because chances are, if they're buying something, more than not, people are buying something for themselves. And if it's a gift for someone else or them buying something for someone else, then it almost puts them in that B2B category. B2B is where you're going to have other people that get held accountable and are going to have to reap the benefits or the pitfalls of whatever decisions are made. So there are people that may buy something or invest in something, and because it doesn't go well, it affects everyone. And in those situations, that's what makes someone second guess. That's what makes someone say, you know what, I need to talk to the owner because they understand what's at stake. Client relationships. Here's what it costs. Key context lives in the founder's memory, not in any system, so no one can service the account without them present. So again, when you're having conversations with someone and they ask a question or they ask if something can be done, if that person isn't able to answer with a certain level of certainty, it creates doubt. And then it makes the person feel like, well, why am I having this conversation with you when I should be having it with the owner, the decision maker, the person that can answer my questions without making me feel like I don't have a level of confidence that I need to move forward. And this is where B2C and B2B start to show themselves. B2C, more than not, it's someone buying something for themselves. So if things don't go right, if things go awry, the only person that they have to hold accountable is themselves. Some people can write that off. Where B2C starts to creep over into B2B is when you're buying something or you're doing something for someone else, and you know you're going to be held accountable for it. So B2C, when you're buying something for someone else, you start to ask different levels of questions because it's knowing and having the understanding of that person is going to look to that person. The person that they are doing it for is going to look back to them and say, well, what were you thinking? What did did you ask them this question? Did you do this? Did you do that? And if you don't have an answer to that, that's where it makes it so that it was an inconvenience for them. B2B is where you're talking about business to business. And again, there's an accountability. When someone makes an investment and they know that it can affect everybody else in that business, they have to be more precise. They can't wing it. And if they're having a conversation with someone that can answer their questions and it gives them the feeling that they have doubt and uncertainty, they're going to automatically want to speak to the person that can remove that doubt, that can answer their questions emphatically and make sure that they can go back and tell the people in their company that they asked the right person, that there's no room for doubt, and that everyone on that team in that business can go ahead and move forward with certainty because they got the answer that they needed. Process knowledge, what it costs. There's no repeatable method, only the way the founder does it, which can't be taught until it's documented. There are plenty of people that know how to be able to do something really, really well. You can run a business with that, but it's going to be really hard for you to be able to grow and scale that business if you're the only one that understands how to be able to do it. And if you're the person that knows how to do it and it has to be done a certain way, either it's something that you need to be able to learn how to train somebody with or make exclusive enough so that the price point justifies it only requiring you. And when it's just you, that's what people are actually paying for. Having a version of it that someone trained can step in and be able to help with is something that will make it easier for you to be able to hand off that product, service, or whatever that experience is. But if it requires you specifically, then that's a premier product. That's a premier service. That's something that someone has to technically pay top dollar for because it takes you away from all the other things that you would need to be doing with the business, be it lead generation or just taking care of the day to day. Understanding that is what's going to allow you to be able to understand when to grow, how to grow, and the path forward. That's going to be the path of least resistance. Why growth makes the vacuum worse, not better. Growth sounds like relief, but without written steps, it adds pressure. More clients means more details. More hires means more questions. More chances means more gaps. It's like a small store with one owner. More customers sound good, but if the owner still handles everything, the line just gets longer. That is what happens here. Growth does not reduce the vacuum, it pressurizes it. Let's unpack this a bit more. Each new client adds surface area, more relationships, more context, more judgment calls, more of everything that already lives in one person's head. There's a capacity level. People can only do but so much. There's only but so much multitasking someone can do before something potentially slips through the cracks. Looking at the small store owner and the line getting longer analogy, how many times have you gone to a store, saw a line out the door, or saw a line longer than you wanted to be able to deal with, and just said, you know what, it's not worth it? When you hear people say leaving money on the table, it is a version of that. Each new hire adds coordination cost. Without documented systems, every person added creates supervision work, not leverage. The founder's involvement doesn't decrease, it multiplies. Now you not only have to worry about the work getting done, but now you're responsible for making sure that the people that are supposed to be doing the work are doing it in a way that doesn't cause a drop off in the product or the service or the customer experience that has gotten you to this point. This is why having a documented system is so important. It's not just can someone do the job, it's can they do it in a way that isn't a drop off in what people have come to expect. Let's move on to each new opportunity reveals new gaps. The vacuum expands to include sales process, onboarding, quality control, everything the founder handles personally because nothing was written down. So again, when new opportunities present themselves, the only way that you can truly embrace them is if you've already figured out how to be able to document and make repeatable in a consistent manner the things that you already brought to market. Without that, You're going to be flying blind and you're going to be taking on more work without knowing that you can deliver on the work that you were already promised to clients, audiences, and that customer experience that people are actually paying for. What a business with systems looks like instead. Without systems, quality depends on who delivers. Every judgment call escalates. New hires create more oversight. Founders must be present. Growth requires more of the founders. We've covered all of these, but let's talk about what systems can create and how it addresses the vacuum. Quality is defined and it can be replicated. It's not just about making sure that you can do something, it's about maintaining the quality level and the expectations of the audience that's been paying. And you want them to continue to stay on as clients and customers. Decisions follow a documented logic. When someone doesn't have to stop or pause and say, you know what, let me get back to you, they can answer things in real time and things progress faster. You can move through the process a lot smoother. New hires onboard into a real process. When you have a system in place and you can onboard and walk them through and train them, there's less reason for follow up questions, hesitations in those moments where people need an answer right away. And you don't have to worry about creating that seed of doubt, planting that seed of doubt that makes someone question whether they're talking to the right person and asking to be able to have something escalated to the manager or the owner, pulling them away from the things that they're supposed to be doing. The founder can be absent without risk. That's the ultimate goal. You want to free the founder up to be able to work on all the other things that could potentially grow and scale the business. There are going to be tasks that only the founder can truly be able to take care of. Freeing the founder up to be able to focus on that is going to allow them to be able to grow out that aspect of the business. Growth can happen through the team. When you have a system that's documented and you can train and walk people through what the real process looks like, and they don't require the founder or someone to stand over their shoulder, then that's where growth happens. And growth is what is not only about retaining customers, but it retains good employees. When people know that they're getting into a business and that business helps people evolve and grow and build up their skill sets, and they can eventually start to make more money, whether they stay with the company or not, that's a good investment of their time. That's what makes people want to be able to stay. But in situations where there is no growth and everything feels like it's just anxiety and angst, that's a stressful situation that people may stay for the money. But as soon as something else comes up, an opportunity that has more stability, they're going to jump ship. So without written steps, quality depends on who delivers. Every decision comes back to you, the founder, the owner. New hires need constant oversight. You find yourself where you have to be present at every big decision that's being made. Growth needs more of you, more clients, more of you that has to be devoted to the business. For those that got into the business so that they can have more time at home, this is where that shift has to happen. With written steps, the work changes. Quality can be repeated. Decisions follow a clear logic. New hires have something to follow, and you can step away without panic. Growth can move through the team. That's the gap. Not fancy tools, clear written standards. Summary. The systems vacuum in plain terms. Here's the simple truth. The vacuum is invisible until growth presses on it. It builds one unwritten decision at a time. Growth makes it worse if nothing changes. The fix is not motivation. The fix is in moving knowledge out of your head, writing down how things work, find what good and great looks like, and then bringing people into that level of clarity. That is the order. That's what frees up your time so that you can start looking at how to be able to grow and scale your business. You've worked hard to get to six figures. The next step, the next stage is how do I not only make sure that I stay here, but grow beyond the number that I set as my initial goal or wherever that fits in your definition of success. So, again, let's take a look at these four. One, the vacuum isn't visible until growth pressurizes it. Looks fine from the outside. The founder is filling in, covering everything that needs to be covered, but then growth reveals what was always missing. You can do it for five clients. You can do it for 10 clients. You may even be able to do it for 20 or more, but eventually your efficiency pays the price. That small store owner has a line out the door. The bigger businesses that have more employees, they can't get the work done, even though they have the staff. And that just creates more disappointment because it sets the expectations of efficiency without actually being able to meet them. Two, it accumulated one undocumented decision at a time. No one chose this. Every stage before stage four rewarded personal excellence over documented process. Again, 0 to 30K, you're just trying to make sure that the business idea is a genuine business opportunity. 30 to 50K, now it's okay. How do I sustain this? I made 30,000. I'm trying to get up to 50,000. I'm starting to see some clients come in. How do I make sure that I can continue to have these clients come in? You start to figure out who you want to work with. You start to say, okay, well, now that I've been able to find these people and I know these people exist, what do I do next? Then you get to the stage where you start to generate more money, 50 to 100K. You start to identify who your ideal customers are. You worked on that personal relationship with them. So they not only bought from you once, but they were willing to buy from you more than once and tell other people about you. And that started to help you grow out your business. You start to see more stability. All of that made sense where you needed to be the person that stepped in and answered all of those questions. It was that personal touch that people are more than willing to be able to pay for. Once you start to grow and scale beyond being able to do that, then that's where you have to have a system in place. Three, growth makes it worse, not better. More clients and more hires without systems means more escalation, not more relief. This is the importance of having onboarding and training. There are a lot of people that hire and they'll walk someone through something once or twice and expect them to be able to pick up on it. That's putting the customer and the client experience at risk. Everything that people have heard about you leading up to that point is at risk. If you don't have a proper system in place and a way to be able to explain how to do things so people may not get you, but they get the next best thing without there being a drop off in the experience, that's going to cost you growth. That's going to cost you the reputation that you spent a lot of time putting in to be able to build up. And finally, four, the fix is structural, not motivational. This isn't something where you can just say, you know what, we got to do better. You can't motivate somebody financially if you don't give them the things necessary, the ingredients to be able to put something together that's going to allow them to be able to be consistent with it. Giving someone more money, yelling at them, all of the different things that people try in those situations. The one thing that's going to be able to fix it is to document what's in your head, build a process, and then walk those people through it that you hire so that the sequence that creates that leverage that you had is something that they can repeat consistently. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, like, share, and subscribe. This has been episode 2 in the Stage 4 series. Coming up, we have Beyond the First Win, turning one into ongoing partnerships. Again, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.